All right, good afternoon. Sir, would you introduce yourself, tell us your name and DOC number?
My name is Jay Longsworth, 345487.
All right, and let me acknowledge that you have some guests there with you today. You have your mother, Miss Kathy Longsworth, and your sister, Cassie Hall. Thank y'all for being here. We'll ask for your remarks at the appropriate time. First, Mr. Longworth, I think you know the process. Have you been through this process before, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just gonna jump right in. You're classified as a third felony offender. You're currently serving a 46-year sentence. You were sentenced first in 1998 in Vernon for armed robbery and carjacking. Then you have another sentencing date in Boyles, 2007, aggravated escape, aggravated criminal damage to property, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Parole eligibility date was November 1st, 2017, and your good time date is May 8th, 2041. Is that information correct?
No.
Your case has been assigned to Mr. Roche. I'm going to turn it over to him. Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Longsworth.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're currently 46 years old, am I right?
Sir.
And you've been incarcerated for 23 years, is that correct?
No, sir, I've been incarcerated for 26 years and 3 months.
According to my record, your total sentence was 46 years, am I correct?
Sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And your full-time release date is August 1st, 2046. Is that correct?
Sir.
So my calculation, your incarceration goes back to August 1st, 2000. Is that correct?
No, sir.
Okay. But some of your sentence is consecutive. If your sentence goes back to 98 for the armed robbery and the carjacking, and you have a 46-year sentence, your full-time date would be in 2044. Am I correct?
Excuse me, Mr. Roche. Our records department, I just spoke with her. They haven't been incarcerated in 1997. 6/17/97.
I can't hear you, Warren.
We have 6/17/97 was this incarceration date.
Okay. And you see what I'm talking about? One is full-term date
That's right. I see it.
is in 2046 with a 40-year sentence. It doesn't compute. It doesn't match.
Okay. Well, we have here the full term date of 2046 with a 46-year.
Shouldn't it be 43?
Come speak with me.
It's because some of the offenses he's receiving jail credit for, some of them he's not receiving jail credit for. So that's what's throwing the 3-year difference off.
Okay, some of the credits that were issued is not being applied.
Yes.
Okay, all right,
Are we good, Mr. Roche?
we good. I just want to make sure my calculations were right.
Yes, sir.
So basically, you've been incarcerated for 26 years.
Yes, sir.
So at being 46, you've been incarcerated since you were 20 years old.
Yes, sir.
And you were third felony offender. Actually, you got charged with another felony after you were incarcerated, but you were a second felony offender at 20 years old. Is that correct?
Sir.
So tell me why so much criminal activity at an early age?
growing up, I grew up in a good household. My mom, my dad, my siblings, they were there for me. So I believe the criminal activity comes from just trying to fit in with peers, with the wrong type of peers, and trying to just do things to maybe act cool or be accepted. My dad was in the military. My mom, she worked. It wasn't their fault in my upbringing as far as my criminal activity. Trying to fit in, going to high school, not really being with the popular crowd. I turned to the negative aspects of teenage years, the wrong aspect. I made a lot of bad decisions, being young, selfish. Just immaturity and irresponsibility led me down a lot of wrong paths.
Okay, so you see what that has done to you, your mother, your sister, and I wanna give you my deepest sympathy on the recent loss of your father earlier this year. And I read every word of your mother's letter, every word. And you were raised in a good household. And he has continued to support you throughout your incarceration. And if you are released today, you need to put an instant end to the misery and the disappointment that your mother has because of your incarceration. You understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, sir.
Jay, it's not all about you today, it's about you and your family. So let's see, you've lost 296 days good time. So you haven't done very well while you're incarcerated. Tell me why.
Coming to prison for a crime, a horrible crime that I committed. I dealt with shame at a young age. And I think that influenced my early incarceration, well, a lot of my incarceration, dealing with the shame and the guilt of the things I have done and the choices I've made. And there's a lot of wasted years during my incarceration where I went down the same path I went down, to lead me into incarceration. Trying to fit in prison, having fears. I don't want to justify or excuse my actions, but trying to fit in and be cool and just not to make a impact as far as the offenders or inmates, led me to not knowing how to say no. And I think for years that was my biggest problem. And not knowing how to say no to other offenders led to a lot of write-ups, a lot of wrongdoing. And of course, they were my actions, my decisions.
Okay, Mr. Longsworth, I understand what you're trying to tell me. But losing 296 hours and not having any of that restored tells me that you have some recent write-ups. What is the most recent write-up that you had?
I had a Rule 10 on September 8th, 2020.
So tell me about the fight.
It was a heated exchange between me and another inmate that I guess neither one of us wanted to let go as just words, and it turned into something physical between the two of us. And my
So,
actions and my part.
You're working on your rehabilitation. You've been in incarcerated for 23 years at that point. It was 3 years ago. And you knew if you would approach and be involved in an altercation, you would get a write-up. Have you completed anger management?
Yes, sir, I have.
When did you complete anger management?
2022.
So you took anger management after the write-up.
Yes, sir.
You've been on supervision before. Matter of fact, you were on supervision when you committed this crime. Is that correct?
Probation, yes, sir.
And you got revoked in October of 1997. And you were in jail for 4 counts of simple burglary in Leesville, Louisiana. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So when are you going to realize that you have to follow the rules whether you are incarcerated or whether you're on supervision? But you not done very well with either one. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
At some point in time, you're 46 years old now. Well, okay, how old are you?
46.
46. At what point are you going to realize that you have to become a productive member of society and follow the rules and regulations that everybody else does?
I believe, sir, that the experience and the lessons I've learned over the past few years, while not flawless, as for example, that simple fight I had, I believe I have been learning and have been walking toward the path of, doing the right things and planning for a successful future. I've taken programs such as Thinking for a Change that has allowed me to gain the knowledge and the skills to just think about my actions beforehand so I can choose the proper decision.
Okay, now, let's go off into another area. Have you ever abused drugs or alcohol?
Yes, sir, I have.
And when did you start using the drugs?
Early in my adolescence, probably maybe 13 or 14 years old,
And what did you start with?
marijuana.
And what did you graduate to?
That was it.
You've never used anything stronger than marijuana.
I've used, well, I guess you would call it the mojo. I've done that while in prison. I don't know if that's stronger or graduating to it, but yes, I have used that also.
It's a long way. You realize you're jeopardizing your life using mojo? It's synthetic marijuana, and no one knows exactly what's in mojo. When's the last time you used mojo?
2016.
You have a very, very tall hill to climb. Let me read the opposition. The judge in the 30th JDC is opposed. The judge in the 12th JDC is opposed. The district attorney in Vernon Parish is strongly opposed, and I'm going to give you some of his comments after I read the rest of them. The DA in Evalds Parish is opposed. The sheriff in Vernon Parish is opposed. The sheriff in Evalds Parish is opposed. We have a letter from DA Terry Lambright. He says, members of the parole board, I oppose to any early release for this offender. The offender committed a very violent offense against a person. He received big benefits, a significant reduction in prison time based upon his plea deal. The judge sentence was also lenient. He's probably serving one half the time he could have received. This defendant has received mercy and grace already. As previously stated, the state is absolutely opposed to any early release or alterations in his sentence. We don't often get letters like that from DAs. But this DA's office is adamantly opposed because they say you've already received grace and mercy. You originally was sentenced to a 40-year sentence, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So tell this panel what you did to add 6 years on to your sentence.
2006, while I was in this facility, me and two other offenders took a truck out of the Votech compound and ran it through the Sallyport gate in an escape attempt.
You systematically planned an escape. You hid in the building till everybody was gone. And then you got into a truck and you rammed the gate, jeopardizing the lives of the corrections officers, other offenders, and you almost killed yourself because I understand it ended up with you wrecking the vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Was it worth it?
No, sir, it wasn't.
So tell me about all the programs you've completed.
I've completed anger management, as you said. I've completed Thanking for a Change, as I spoke about. I've completed pre-release program. I've completed victim impact, live and learn. I've completed Inside Out Dads and Nurturing Parenting, which are faith-based classes. I completed Warden Myers Boys to Men program. To help with my reintegration, I've completed the IC3 computer literacy program and the job life skills program. I've completed other faith-based Bible study programs over the years. Search for Truth, which was a year-long comprehensive Bible study.
Have you completed the victim impact training?
Yes, sir, yes, I have.
And your last write-up was in 2020, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So tell us about your transition plan. Where do you plan to live and where do you plan to work?
If released today, I would go home and live with my mother in Leesville, Louisiana, the house I grew up in. My transition plan includes an employment search, which the skills and the knowledge I've learned while being incarcerated, I feel pretty, good about gaining employment. I'm not picky about having a job. I have a wonderful work ethic that I have learned while being incarcerated. Just having employment and getting myself established is paramount in my plan for success. Choosing a career path will come a little later after I get established. I plan on contacting a few organizations in Leesville about making amends in my community. In the Victim Impact Program, it speaks big on making amends to the people that I've hurt and as my community as a whole.
Tell us about your employment.
Sir?
Tell us about your employment. You're gonna live with your mother.
Yes.
Tell us about your employment.
Employment, I have an offer for a application or interview with the pastor of the church I will be belonging to. He owns K&R Furniture, Mr. Kerry Jordan, as he said he will give me an interview to work at his store. And if not, if that don't work out, sir, I will find gainful employment. Like I said, I'm not picky about where I work. It's just anything that will help me establish myself until I'm able to choose a career path. I have a wonderful work ethic and I don't mind working.
Mr. Longsworth, you have over 90 disciplinary write-ups in 26 years. That's not good. Warden, would you like to make any comments, observations, remarks?
Yeah, Mr. Roche, how you doing? He made some bad decisions early on. He made some terrible decisions early on. There was some disciplinary issues early in his incarceration. Prior to that write-up you're referring to in 2020, I'm looking here, his last write-up would have actually been 2018. That's 6 years. He's done everything that we've asked for him to do here. He's completed a lot of the classes. He and Warden Myers had a long discussion yesterday, and you know how serious Warden Myers is about these parole interviews. He take those real serious. And he wanted to make sure that I let you guys know that he does feel that he's definitely on the right track. He's done some good things here, and he feels that he's really turned the corner.
Thank you, Warden. Madam Chairman.
I have one question. You completed the Tier Walker training in March of 23.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been active in that position as a
Ma'am.
Tier Walker.
Yes, ma'am.
What's that like? What's that like for you?
It's humbling.
Huh?
I say that because to be chosen, I was chosen by Colonel James at this facility as one of the 10 people to be certified as a tier walker. And to be trusted to sit in front of somebody who's on suicide watch and might hurt themselves, to be trusted to have their life and to help encourage them. To me, it's rewarding. It's hard to explain because, I see a lot of people that, use it to try to manipulate, we all know, but there's been a couple offenders that has really had problems. And I never looked at myself as a beacon of hope or inspiration. I never thought I could be to others. And to be chosen to be this gave me confidence to let me know that I could, and to actually have a chance to help others with their mental, stability, with their mental health, and hopefully into choosing better decisions as they go along, just to talking to them and to be there with them, to know that maybe they just want somebody there to understand. It's a big help, and to me, like I said, that's why I say it's very it's humbling to me.
Good. That's challenging. That's a challenging position. And I also read the article you wrote that prison is not an adjective. That's a very, very good article. I want to commend you on that. Was that your pitch on the article? Was that you or just somebody?
Ma'am, that was me.
Oh, okay. All right. That's all I had, Madam Chair. Thank you.
I don't have any particular questions. I also was going to comment on your writings. I've read what was provided to us, and you're very talented in that regard. You need to work on continuing to develop that. At this time, we'd like to hear from your mother, Miss Kathy Longsworth. Ma'am, what would you like us to say? To know.
I don't like speaking in front of somebody, so this is gonna be quick. But, if he's allowed to come home, he has a grandson that's waiting to meet him. He has his nieces and nephews that he hasn't seen since they were little, that are grown and have kids of their own. He has his sister to help support him also. But most of all, he's got a church family that's has prayed for him over these long years, that is waiting patiently to meet him and to help guide him and to love him and to pray for him and just be there for him. And most of all, I need him home. It would be a blessing for him to be able to come home and help me take care of on my home now that my husband's gone. And just to have somebody there. There's a lot of things I can't do anymore because of my health. And if he's allowed to come home, I would really appreciate it. And thank you for letting me speak.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Did a good job. Ms. Cassie?
I don't have a whole lot of words, so I won't keep you. I didn't have any thoughts on speaking. It's been kind of emotional listening and remembering. I just want to reiterate what my mom said, that he does have tons of support. If when he gets out, myself, my husband, my grown children, our church family, I definitely see a difference in him. I stopped visiting some years ago, not out of any kind of situation with us, just because of life. And today is the first time I've seen him in a lot of years, and I don't recognize him. I don't. I'm his sister. I grew up with him. I know the knucklehead that he was. I don't recognize him at all.
That's good to hear.
Thank you.
Making sure. Okay, Jay, this is your opportunity. Is there a statement you'd like to make to us? Yeah, be brief.
Thank you. I believe over my incarceration, I had a lot of wasted years, and I understand that I got into a lot of trouble and I went down a lot of negative paths. But ever since, I think my breakthrough, or when my eyes was open, was in 2016 when my son passed away. That really led me or showed me the definition of accountability. And the reason I say that is because of my actions, my escape, my write-ups, my security status, I wasn't allowed to go to his funeral. And so that showed me that because of something I did, I never got the chance to say goodbye to my son. And excuse me, I'm sorry, but your emotions. That led me over the last 6 or 7 years, even though I have a couple flaws and maybe 2 or 3 or 4 write-ups, it caused me to change. It started in me wanting to be the type of man my son can be proud of. I come before the board in January of last year thinking I was prepared. I wasn't. I understand that. I was disappointed for being denied, but the board members made me realize that, you know, I wasn't quite there yet. You know, they spoke about my disciplinary history. They said they wanted a little more time. They spoke about, they specifically asked for me to take living in balance and thinking for a change, which I've completed both of them, as well as other programs that help me progress. They made me realize that as much as I planned on to go home, I've never planned to stay home. And over the past 20 months, this is what I've been doing with IC3, job life skills, other programs, nurturing parenting and inside out dads. Even though I don't have a son, I do have a 10-year-old grandson. He doesn't have a role model, a male role model in his life. And I believe that the experiences I've gone through and me being out there for him will be instrumental in his upbringing because I am a positive person now. I've come a long way and I believe and I'm proud of the change I've made. I'm very ashamed of the things I've done. I've hurt a lot of people. You know, I can't say enough about my crimes, my original offense, the escape attempt from here, you know. But I would like for you to know that if given the chance to go home, you know, I am very focused on the responsibilities left to me by my father when he passed, which really solidified things for me in that aspect because, you know, having my mom getting older and, you know, she needs me. You know, I want to go home, but she needs me and my grandson needs me. And I think I have, Miss Renata, you told me in my last board, you sit on it, you told me that I did turn the corner. And you asked me to take it as a challenge, that what your colleagues said about doing a little more time and completing these classes. And I took you seriously. And I took all of y'all seriously, and I didn't let it bring negativity to me. I used it to propel me to even better progression, even better preparation to being released. And once released, I will be a productive citizen in my community, for my family, in my church, and in society. And I thank y'all for y'all.
All right. You like to talk. That's not a bad thing, but I think we get it. I think we're prepared to vote, Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Longsworth, before you gave your closing statement, I had two reasons why I made my decision. The remarks by Warden Turner and the remarks left by Warden Myers and your mother's letter. Your mother's letter really impressed me. I have a third reason, because I think you've got it. Your closing statement was on point, and I think you got it. So based on positive remarks by the warden and the staff, family support, a good transition plan, my vote is to grant your early release. Here are the conditions on that release. You have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. You are to attend at least 3 NAAA meetings a week. If you want to attend more, fine. But you need to attend at least 3 meetings a week. You are to have random drug screens at the discretion of your parole officer. You are to do community service. Let's give back to the community 8 hours a month. Get with your pastor, get with your parole officer, and talk to disadvantaged youth and try to lead them in the right direction. And you must maintain full-time employment and help your mother out for the duration of your supervision. Good luck.
Mr. J, I concur with Mr. Roche. My vote is to grant as well for the reasons already stated. I do want to state, just for your hearing, that the victim was very concerned she never got her jury back. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that. I want to put that on your mind. Best wishes to you, sir.
All right, Mr. Longsworth, you know, I did ask you to do some programs. I asked you to do some things and you did it. So you took it serious. I'm really pleased to hear that. I enjoyed listening to the conversation today. My vote today also is to grant with the same special conditions. So good luck to you, sir. You've been granted parole. Thank y'all for your for being here today. We appreciate it. Warden, I think that concludes our business at your facility. We're going to adjourn. It's 1:41. Thanks for helping us out.
Good rest of your day.
You too.